Welcome to this explainer. Today we are fundamentally dismantling why waking up so often feels like this heavy, almost impossible struggle. And more importantly, we're going to reveal the exact biological levers you can pull to completely fix it. So, if you're tired of hitting snooze and feeling like you're just dragging yourself out of bed every single morning, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We aren't going to talk about simple motivation today. We are going to talk about science, biology, and real control.
To kick things off, we've got to address the universal question literally everyone asks when they wake up groggy. You know the exact feeling. You open your eyes, you feel that terrible brain fog, and your immediate thought is always, did I sleep enough? We've been completely conditioned to believe that the duration of our sleep is the single most important metric for morning energy. But as it turns out, we've actually been asking the wrong question entirely.
Here's the crazy part. Your brain doesn't actually care about duration anywhere near as much as you think it does. When you open your eyes, your brain acts way more like a highly complex machine that's asking for permission. It's not looking at a stopwatch. It's looking at its environment and asking, is it safe to switch on right now? It is actively looking for precise signals of certainty before it releases the energy you need to actually get out of bed.
And that permission to switch from night mode to day mode, it's strictly governed by three interconnected biological systems that, honestly, most people never even think about. First up is your circadian rhythm, which is your body's internal clock. Second is sleep pressure, which is just the physical need for rest that builds up while you're awake. And third is your cognitive load, which is the mental weight you're carrying. If even one of these three systems is off balance, you are going to wake up tired, regardless of whether you slept for a full 8 hours.
So this brings us to our first major paradigm shift, setting the brain's schedule. Time to stop treating mornings like a random lottery of energy and start actually programming our biology for success.
There's a really stark contrast we have to understand here. Your brain does not wake up through sheer willpower, and it certainly doesn't run on motivation. It runs on scheduled chemistry. Specifically, every morning, your body is supposed to release a timed cortisol spike. Now, this isn't a stress response. It's literally your activation energy. But that spike has to be scheduled. If you wake up at wildly different times every day, your brain never locks in a schedule, which means that crucial chemical signal never fires. And that is exactly what leaves you feeling foggy and heavy.
And that perfectly exposes the next massive myth we need to bust. Relying on alarms. A jarring audio alarm doesn't actually wake your brain up. Sound is simply not the signal your biology trusts. What your brain is desperately looking for is the physical transition from darkness to brightness. Immediate bright light is the true evolutionary alarm clock that tells your internal systems that the day has officially begun.
So, the crucial point is that to lock in tomorrow's activation, you gotta master what we call the switch. This requires two very specific actions. First, you have to wake up at the exact same time every single day. Yes, even if you had a terrible night of sleep, because remember, you are programming tomorrow's chemistry, not fixing today's. Second, you must expose your eyes to bright light within 5 minutes of waking up. No sunglasses, no dim rooms. This shuts off your melatonin production and firmly flips that switch from sleep to awake.
To really optimize this whole process, we have to talk about mastering the sleep cycle. Because if you feel slow, sluggish, and disoriented when your alarm goes off, there's a really good chance you aren't actually exhausted. You're just interrupted. Let's break down what that means.
We've all been told forever to just get our flat 8 hours of sleep, right? But sleep is not a flat state where you just close your eyes and remain perfectly still internally. Not at all. It's a series of active, undulating cycles moving between light and deep sleep. If your alarm happens to go off and cut right through your deepest phase of sleep, your brain doesn't wake up clean. It suffers a severe biological crash. You are quite literally dragging your brain out of its most paralyzed state. So, to align with your brain's natural rhythms instead of constantly fighting them, you need to target the end of these natural sleep cycles. A standard sleep cycle is roughly 90 minutes long. If you multiply that out, your first precise biological target is exactly 6 hours of sleep, which neatly covers 4 full cycles.
Now, if you know your body needs a bit more recovery and 6 hours simply isn't going to cut it, don't automatically jump to 8. Your next precise biological target should be exactly 7.5 hours. This completes your 5th full sleep cycle, bringing you to a state of naturally light sleep right when it's time to wake up.
Or, let's say you're recovering from heavy physical strain or illness, you can definitely commit to a full 9 hours. The absolute key here isn't the total number itself. It's picking one specific cycle target, 6, 7.5, or 9, and committing to it so your alarm sounds right as your brain is already surfacing naturally.
You wake up cleanly, hand in hand with your biology.
Okay, now we absolutely have to look at the nighttime shutdown sequence. Because the harsh reality we all have to face is that your incredible morning resistance, that dreadful feeling of never wanting to get out from under the covers, is actually built the night before.
Think about it. Scattered attention, endless doom scrolling, unfinished thoughts, all of this creates what psychologists call open loops in your mind. And your brain absolutely hates open loops. It registers that uncertainty as a literal primitive threat. When your brain anticipates chaos or a massive unresolved to-do list the very moment you wake up, it intentionally delays waking you up to avoid facing that threat. We have to replace that chaotic uncertainty with a reliable shutdown sequence.
To completely neutralize this threat and give your brain the all-clear to activate easily in the morning, you must execute these 3 exact steps in the exact same order every single night. Number 1, get everything out of your head and onto paper so you aren't storing data in your active memory. Number 2, decide what actually matters tomorrow so there's a crystal clear plan. And number 3, prepare your physical environment so your morning is entirely frictionless. This sequence signals pure safety and certainty to your nervous system.
Moving right along to from early to clear, the identity override. This is what takes us from simply trying to wake up early, which, let's be honest, usually feels like a miserable punishment, to waking up clear, which feels like total control. But there's one final, really critical psychological hurdle to address here, and that's your identity.
See, you can optimize your light exposure, you can totally nail your sleep cycles, and you can perfect your shutdown sequence. But if deep down you secretly believe you just aren't a morning person, your brain will automatically sabotage you. It protects your core identity way more than it cares about your desired outcomes. So, to override this, you have to stop just thinking about becoming a morning person and start collecting undeniable, repeated evidence. You wake up at the exact time one day, then the next, zero negotiation. You build identity through undeniable proof, not just wishful thinking.
And all of this brings us to our ultimate goal: alignment. Alignment is that incredible, effortless state of control you hit when all these biological levers are finally pulled together. You stock the same wake time, immediate bright light exposure, closed mental loops from your night sequence, and a totally predictable morning. And suddenly, the friction completely disappears.
When you finally achieve this alignment, a profound shift happens. You're no longer forcing your brain to wake up using ridiculous hacks, super loud alarms, or exhausting discipline games. Instead, you're simply removing all the fundamental reasons it delays in the first place. You've given it the scheduled chemistry, the bright light signal, and the safety it desperately needs. Waking up clearly just becomes fully automatic.
So, as we wrap up this explainer and you start looking ahead to your own evening, I want you to really think about your shutdown sequence tonight. Knowing that your morning energy is entirely dictated by the chemistry you schedule and the safety you provide, what specific biological signal will you choose to send your brain tomorrow morning?